Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, if you don't know me, my name's Vicky Marie. I live in Spain, in Europe, though I'm originally from Manchester in the good old UK. And I talk about true crime most of the time. And if that's something that you think you might like from somebody who's definitely not AI, who you'll see from all the things that go wrong during my life, that definitely not an AI. So if you don't not interested in it, some people like the AI because it doesn't waffle like I do. I'm going to do a little bit of waffle today before I start. But if you think you like that, please subscribe and press notifications so you get any more notifications about my videos. And what I'm going to talk about in this video is this case that everyone is sort of, the world of true crime really is fascinated with this case um, for many reasons. It is such a tragic case. And this is the case, of course, of Spencer and Monique Tepe, who were brutally shot, murdered in their own home while their two children were sleeping, while their dog was there. Somebody entered in their home, well, we know who it is now, in the early hours of the morning, the wee hours of the morning, entered in the home, shot them both multiple times. I believe they were both shot multiple times. Originally, we were led to believe that Monique was only shot once, but now it seems to be that she was shot more than once as well. Anyway, it was a crime of revenge, passion. I don't know, because it turns out that the person that's been arrested for this terrible crime is Monique's ex-husband, Michael McKee. Now, so it's not a who done it, as I've said before in the video, it's a why done it, because Monique and her husband, or her ex-husband, Michael, they'd been divorced for 7 years, at least 7 years. So you're going back a long way, and they've been separated for a long time before that. So what is difficult to understand in this case, not so, quite often, unfortunately, ex-partners kill their partner, don't they? Their ex-partner happens quite often through jealousy. It's normally breakup violence, normally, not always. Of course, there are other cases where it's been more of a sort of a cold revenge. But yeah, it's not really clear why Michael would wait all these years. And, he had more opportunity, before the children came along, for example, before Monique and Spencer's life got more sort of complicated, if you like. He's walked into a house where a family lived and a dog. He could have, killed, if Monique was his main target, he could have killed Monique before she and Spencer even got married. Or if Spencer was his main target, he could have killed Spencer on his way to work. Spencer had a very long commute to work. There's lots of other ways that this could have been done, but no, he waited. He drove over 5 hours, probably near 6 hours, to exact this revenge. That's a long way to drive, to have plenty of time to change your mind, to stop, to turn round. This is not a crime of passion, really, because it took him so long to get there to do it. You couldn't call it a crime of passion. That just wouldn't stand up in court. You can be angry, of course you can, and in the moment you could do something. But it's been planned, it's been prepared, it's been all those things. So, yeah, there's so much. We're going to talk about it all anyway. So much that's strange about this case. We're going to have a little bit of waffle first. Uh, so this morning, I've been, for those of you who watch my channel regularly, you'll know my computer blew up literally about 2 or 3 days into the new year. And I'm trying to get pennies together to, well, obviously more than pennies, to buy a new computer. So I've been sort of looking around and selling things that I once read that in your home you should only have things that are either useful or beautiful. So I've been sort of looking around thinking, what haven't I used? It's amazing, isn't it, what you have lying around that you literally do not use, that you look at every day and you think, oh, I'm going to do this with this, or I'm going to do that, don't do anything with it, and then there. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. I've been on Marketplace, I've been trying on Facebook, trying to sell, just anything that's lying around, just to gather a little bit of money together if I can. But, little amounts add up into big things. Oh, by the way, I want to say thank you to everybody who has contributed to my Ko-fi fund to go towards buying a new computer. You're so very kind. And not only like that, some of you have contributed in other ways, say sent PayPal or various things. So I just want to say thank you for that. It's much appreciated. I'm going to put my Ko-fi link up. I think I am, if I can find it. And yeah, all contributions are very well. It doesn't matter how small amounts build up to big amounts. So that's what these things. Oh, I think I put it up there. Yeah. So anyway, I had this bookcase. Well, it's not really a bookcase, like a shelving unit bookcase. Anyway, literally it's sort of down in the basement, never been used. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, I could sell that. I think somebody would love that, because I was actually thinking of painting it, because it's raw iron, and there's lots of things in my house that I think, oh, I'm going to upcycle that, paint it, or put new cushion on it, or do whatever. Of course I never do it because I never have time. So I thought, oh, I'll put it up on Marketplace. Anyway, it sold immediately. And a lady contacted me and said she would come this morning to pick it up. So I was thinking about afterwards, while I was waiting for this morning, I thought, oh, I hope she's bringing somebody strong with it, because it's really heavy, because it's raw iron, and it's a pretty bookcase. It sort of folds down, so you can get it in your car or transport it, but it is iron, so it's quite a weight. So I sort of got it halfway out of my house, and then this lady turned up to pick it up. Well, I'm not spring chicken, but I think this lady probably was older than me, if not same age, but also she wasn't quite as substantial as me. I am quite substantial, even though I'm only little, but she was a very slender lady, and I thought, oh my God, are we going to be able to get this in the car between us? Anyway, to cut a long story short, we did, and it just shows you, you should never think about your age or whatever, because if you're determined to do something, you will do it. And she had this most beautiful toy poodle, a silver toy poodle, and it was so good. So at one point, because when she was putting this thing in her car, or we were, had to hang over the front seats, because it's quite tall. And so the dog had been sitting in its basket there on the front seat. So she just took it out and put it on the street. And I was like, oh my God. So I just went into a panic, because if I did that with my dogs, they'd be running around, going mad, running in the road, or, causing havoc. And this little dog just stood there. And I said, oh my God, he's so good. He's so good. He's so, oh, she said, oh yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Oh, he was beautiful. Little silver poodle reminded me of my poodle that I had when I lived in Reading, where it was supposed to be silver but never went silver. He was black, really, but he was supposed to be silver. He was silver on his pedigree thing, but he never went silver. Absolutely beautiful little dog, and so sedate. So I picked it up then, because I was panicking it might run off. She goes, he won't run off, he's very tranquil. And I'm like, I just because of what my dogs are like, they're so hyper. And I thought I've gone wrong with my dog somewhere, but I don't know if it's Maybe he was an elderly dog, I don't know, but he was a beautiful little dog. Anyway, she got she got it in the car okay, and off she went. Though I hope she didn't have to brake hard, because she would have she sort of had her head between the two sort of feet of it. Oh dear! I thought, I hope she doesn't have to brake suddenly. I just hope she's okay. And I don't know where, how far she had to go or whatever. But anyway, hopefully she'll be home by now. She'll have got it out, and it'll be in the perfect little corner she said she's got for it in her house. But yeah, just want to talk about that, because I thought, gosh, yeah, between us we did it, because of course, number one's so he would have helped if he would have had to, but it was just better that we managed to do it ourselves. So anyway, that's a little bit of waffle I've got this morning. Just, you should never underestimate people, because as I say, when she first got out of the car, and it wasn't a big car, I was thinking, oh my God, how is this going to fit in her car? And then how are we going to get it in between us? Because even between us, it's pretty heavy. But we were fine. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Hi, David. So, hi. I'm going to come into the chat first, say hello to people. Hi, David. Hi, Bluebell. Hope you're okay. Hope it's not too hot for you where you are. It's still freezing here. Hi, Daniel. Happy Sunday. Yeah, happy Sunday, everybody. Hope you have a lovely Sunday. Hope you had a nice Saturday. I think that's the only bit of waffle I've got today, which is unusual. I've normally got quite a lot of waffle, haven't I? But yeah, no more waffle. So let me take that banner off now. I haven't said my thank yous actually properly. But yeah, as usual, thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you especially to my members and those of you that have made donations to the computer fund. Thank you so much. Thank you to my lovely lurkers, and thank you to replay crew. Thank you for watching, and thank you for caring about Spencer and Monique. I do think this case has sort of, transfixed people in a way, or because there's so much to this case, isn't there? But I think the most what's the word? Let me just put a picture of the Tepes up and this man. I can't wait to put him in the hellhole. I haven't put anyone in the hellhole for a while. I'm getting hellhole withdrawal symptoms. Yeah. No, so yeah, lots of things have come out bit by bit. So he was arrested. He's been extradited. He was arrested in Chicago, which is where his home is, miles away from where this couple were killed. As I say, it will have taken him at least 5.5, 6 hours to get there. And what's not clear is whether he went up there. That picture there, you can see the figure in the hoodie, which has the police have said now was him, and that's how they helped. That's how they found him, from that CCTV, and also from tracking the vehicle that he drove there, which it's not clear yet if it was actually one of his vehicles or if it was a hire car or borrowed from a friend, or so there's still a lot of things that aren't clear yet, but there are things that we do know. And we do know that apparently he used the silencer. So that explains why nobody heard gunshots, did they? That explains one thing. There's so many things we're curious about. But suppose it, well, we know that he fired multiple gunshots, but nobody reported hearing anything, none of the neighbours. So anyway, it's turned out that he's used a silencer according to the court records. The other thing that's come out is he left cartridges at the scene, didn't he? And was that just did he try and collect all the cartridges? He left 3 spent cartridges at the scene, and they were traced back to one of his weapons in his property. So apparently he had multiple weapons in his apartment in Chicago. And these three spent cartridge casings matched up to one of the weapons. So he's not a very clever criminal, is he? I mean, you know, you just sort of, when we get these thickos like this who, I don't know, think they're cleverer than the police, or maybe didn't care if he got caught, I don't know, but it just sort of makes it even worse somehow, you know, because they're just sort of, I don't know, it just makes it worse that they haven't even really tried. He's just happy now that Monique and Spencer aren't enjoying the lovely life that they had? Is that enough for him? He doesn't care, he's going to prison for the rest of his life. Did he plan to take his own life, but at the end of ultimately he was too much of a coward, he couldn't do it. It's easier to kill someone else, I suppose, than kill yourself. These are all things that we don't know. Apparently he came out with some alibi in the early days. The police went to him, obviously, as the ex-husband. Immediately he was questioned. He came up with some alibi that fell through. It wasn't a good alibi. When the police looked into it, it just fell apart. So the police's sights will have been on him from early on, won't they? What are the other things that have come out about him? So yeah, then it turns out he had been he's been cited in a lawsuit from a patient. But I don't know about that. Is that quite a common thing that happens in America? America has a suing culture, doesn't it? So I don't think it's perhaps unusual for doctors to be sued. They probably have insurance against that. I don't know, or maybe that did have an impact on his frame of mind, knowing that he had this malpractice case coming up. Maybe that did have an effect. But even more now that is more disturbing that is coming out that may explain why this man who divorced from Monique in 2017, so many years ago, almost a decade ago, why would he now decide to murder this couple? Why now? So this is really what everybody is thinking, isn't it? I think there are two real mysteries about this. One is why now, and the other is how did he get in? This is something. He got into this property without disturbing them because the bodies, from what we can gather, were found upstairs in the bedroom. So he got in there somehow. I don't believe that he knocked on the door and that they came down to open the door, because I don't think the crime scene would have been the bedroom then. I think he went in there and shot them as they were sleeping. Maybe one of them woke up after the first one had been killed, but I don't think they even knew what was happening. They didn't know he'd gone into the house. So this is a house that has got a lot of security systems on. It's got a keypad to get in. It's got door cam. It's got all those things. So how did he get in? Well, in this day and age, if he's a little bit into, technology savvy, he might know how to override keypads. You can probably Google it. You could probably Google how to override a keypad or get into a property. Did he go there before and case it all out? Was he already in the house? This is sort of, it's like this Brian Koberger type entry into a house. I mean, it's not like the Idaho 4 house, which had a lot of comings and goings, didn't it? A lot of young people lived there. So they wouldn't necessarily notice the sound of a door opening, closing. They wouldn't know who was coming on or going. Obviously, this was a family home, and they would notice if they were awake. They would notice the door opening or the dog barking or, but we don't even know that the dog barked. So did he go beforehand and sort of case this joint, like make himself friendly to the dog. There are neighbours that are saying that he was seen around in the vicinity, but again, until law enforcement confirm that to us, we can't be sure of that, can we? But it's what can I say? How did he get in? Now, had he been in there and left a window open? Because the other thing is, we know from the 911 calls that the last friend that phoned 911, they were in the house because they were beside the bed and they saw the body beside the bed, Spencer's body. So it was accessible, that house, somehow. So was there a window open somewhere? Was the back door not locked? I can't believe that this couple who had 2 young children would go to bed without securing the house. Or had he been in there before, maybe left a window ajar, or I don't know. We don't know. We don't know how he got in there. So that's one of the mysteries in this case, is why he did it now and how he got in, of course. I don't believe for a minute he was there knocking on the door at 2, 3 in the morning and they would have let him in, because it seems that Monique knew he was a psychopath, that he was horrible to her while they were married. She was terrified of him. I don't believe for a minute they would have let him into their house, even if he stood there and said he was in dire need. What they would do is say, oh, okay, we'll phone someone for you if you like, but you're not coming in. You wouldn't let him in because he wasn't a close friend of the family. He was her psychotic ex-husband who'd done nothing but abuse her mentally, etc., and she was terrified of. So I do not believe that they let him in, and as well because they were upstairs in the better. Well, certainly Spencer was. They would be, the murder scene would be in the hallway, wouldn't it? Surely, or not upstairs. What reason would he have for Spencer to go upstairs and him to follow him upstairs? But so a very shocking thing that is coming out now, because for the why side of it, why. Is that apparently, because there was this mysterious, in September, there was a mysterious court appearance or court summons from family court to do with their marriage. And we looked at that and it was saying something about custody, and everyone's been looking at it and thinking, well, custody of what? Because Monique and Michael, they did not have any children, so there was talk of, did they have a dog? Well, what would the custody be about? Well, now it transpires that this is likely to be a clerical error. A clerical error, which apparently happens often in family court. Now, everybody is human. We all make mistakes in our job, don't we? I've made more mistakes in my job, teaching Spanish. Sometimes you do say things wrong, or you do, because we're human and we're fallible. And I suppose really for the court system, the clerical officers, they're fallible too. But the thing is, if I make a mistake in my job and I say the wrong Spanish word or whatever, or pronounce it wrong or whatever, nobody's going to die as a result, are they? But in family court particularly is very, very nasty, toxic situation, isn't it, for the plaintiff and the defendant. Family court matters are normally about custody or divorce, or maybe it's to do with children suing their parents, or parents suing their children. Just the fact it's family court. Family court can be more acrimonious than normal court. It's there's so much acrimony in divorces sometimes, isn't it? Now, it's ironic, really, because Monique and Michael's divorce on the surface doesn't look acrimonious, does it? It doesn't make, on the surface, they said they broke down, the marriage broke down on the grounds of incompatibility. Nobody contested it. It wasn't a bitter divorce on paper, but of course, just because that's what's on paper with the court documents doesn't show us what's going on in conversations between them, or in their actual relationship. So it's ironic, isn't it? So it seems that the court have even admitted, because people from other, from like other podcasts and things have actually rang up the court to ask about it. So it seems that, yes, a subpoena or whatever you call it went out. And it was realised it was a mistake the next day. It was made up, it was realised it was a mistake, and it was cancelled. But apparently that doesn't stop notifications going out by post. So you just think, is this the reason why all this bubbled back up to the surface after all these years? Now, did he receive a notification and think, oh, this is all coming up again? And as you say, David, maybe because it had custody on it, did he think there was something she hadn't told him? Maybe that's what made him look her up again. Maybe that's when he found her wedding video where she said how miserable she'd been before she met Spencer, which was obviously talking about him, her relationship with him, even though he's never mentioned or anything, but he knows who she means because he was married to her before. Or did she get a notification and did she contact him and say, what the hell's this about? And that brought it up. Or did Spencer contact him and say, what's all this about? Did Monique say to Spencer, oh God, I've got this notification from the court, I have no clue what it's about? So it brings up an endless amount of possibilities that may have led to this man, this resurge of bitterness and anger, that may explain why after sort of 8 years, he suddenly decided, he's probably not suddenly decided. This has probably been brewing in this man for all these years. It seems like people saying that he never got over her. I was, again, not confirmed, just things that I see on podcasts, but make logical sense that he had other girlfriends, but they said he was still obsessed with Monique. He thought Monique couldn't possibly be happy without him. And I wouldn't be surprised, because I know this from experience, what these men, or women, I suppose, the other way around, they just cannot believe that you don't want to be with them, and they go around telling everyone that you've got psychological problems. That I know that from it, but oh yeah, there's some, psychologically, it's a problem psychologically, blah de blah de blah. Not just, can't possibly be that you just don't want to be with them anymore. You must have some sort of psychological problem because you don't want to be with them. And I wonder if he thought that, if he thought they were, like Monique had some sort of psychotic break because she didn't want to be with him anymore. Because do you know what, these people, he is such a narcissist. He wouldn't be able to accept that she left him because of his behaviour. He would always be thinking that she never should have left him. It was all her fault, his fault, her fault. And he just wouldn't be able to accept that whatever it was he did was wrong, and it made her fall out of love with him pretty quick after they got married. Literally married 7 months, and then she was filing for divorce. And not only that, I think she left him in like a midnight flip type scenario. So she was obviously scared of him. So apparently he had threatened to kill her. This is what friends and family are saying. She was terrified of him. Um, so now, as time went on, he's probably tried to get over me. Maybe he just couldn't get over her. You know, I mean, she is a beautiful woman. She looks like a lovely person. And then, but was it this court mistake that has brought it all up again? Or would it have, I mean, not that I'm blaming the courts because, you know, I say everybody makes mistakes. Um, but you know it needs looking at, doesn't it, maybe, because in family court situations I think it's more likely for something like this to happen than in any other situation, isn't it? You know, that these sort of brooding, and they didn't even have any children, no custody battle. So you know, he just hasn't been able to move on, has he? He hasn't been able to move on from losing Monique, and he hasn't been able to accept responsibility for it himself. It was probably all her fault because she's probably imbalanced psychologically in his eyes. And then when she met Spencer, it became her and Spencer's fault. So it's both their faults now. And so now maybe he only took Spencer out because Spencer was trying to defend Monique. But I think, personally, I think he was trying to kill both of them. Because if he was just trying to kill Monique, he would have gone at a time when Spencer was at work. Spencer worked long days and he had an hour and a half drive there and an hour and a half drive back. So there was plenty of time that Monique was probably in the house on her own. I think he meant to kill both of them just through his anger and spite. But he drew the line at killing the children or the dog, which is quite unusual because, you know, someone who's as psychotic as that or as psychopathic as that wouldn't normally, you know, draw the line at killing children or dogs, you know, if they can just, you know, dispense of two lives like that. So this is where we are with this case. So we're still wondering, how did he get in? Why now? But this may shed a light on it, mightn't it? This might be why now, because this had the actual court date that you were supposed to attend. So you apparently the letters were sent out in the June, July time, but the actual court date was September. Then, of course, we had Christmas. Christmas is a big trigger. Who knows what he did at Christmas? Maybe he spent it on his own, or maybe another relationship broke up with him, or, you know, then there's this malpractice at work. No, so let's remember his profession is a surgeon, a vascular surgeon. He went through medical school. From what we can gather for all his education, you know, when he was at high school, when he was at medical school, he was, you know, very well respected. So as far as his profession is concerned, his career, he wasn't intelligent. He is an intelligent man, but he wasn't very intelligent planning this murder. You know, he didn't plan it very well. I mean, seeing how he's supposed to be an intelligent man, he was caught pretty quickly. He was there on the bloody CCTV. And did he really think that just covering himself up with a hoodie, a man like that, the size of him, he's tall, he's broad, you know, once you saw him in court, you could see that person on the CCTV could easily be him. So because of the size of him, you know, did he think that people would look at that, even with his hoodie on and his gloves or whatever he had on, that people wouldn't recognise him from that? Because he had such a distinctive walk and, you know, distinctive shape and that. I think the police must have known pretty quick it was him, and then they just had to, you know, put the dots together. First of which was finding the weapon in his home. There'd be gunshot residue. The thing about gunshot residue, of course, It's invisible, so you wouldn't even know if you had gunshot residue on you, and it's more or less impossible to not have it on you if you're in the close proximity of a gun being fired. It's practically impossible to not have any gunshot residue on you. So did they find gunshot residue? So there's all these little things that add up to a bloody big thing in this case, and that's how he's ended up getting arrested. Of course, his alibi fell through as well, so he had nowhere to go after that. The thing is, if you give an alibi, you've got to make sure, you're better off saying you haven't got an alibi, you just sat at home and watched the telly, really. I mean, if you try and make an alibi up, and then once the police check into it, it falls through, it's obvious that it's not true. It's just ridiculous. I mean, a lot of people just spend their evening sat at home watching the telly. So, you're better off saying that, really, than trying to contrive an alibi that can easily be checked out. So apparently he was arrested in a fast food restaurant, wasn't he? A chicken fillet restaurant or something like that. We haven't got body cam of that yet, but I think it's only a matter of time before that body cam will come out, isn't it? I think it'll be pretty quick. And now I'm going to give you a little prediction. Yeah, let me just. A little prediction, I know he's pleading not guilty at the moment, which in most murder cases, they plead not guilty to begin with. But I've got this feeling that he's going to end up pleading guilty because once, the discovery phase comes in and the prosecution release what proof they've got, surely his lawyer is going to say to him, look, you're better off pleading guilty, and then you might be able to avoid the death penalty. I think this case has been similar to Brian Kohberger's of, just entering in someone's house and murdering them. And I think it's going to go the same way because he won't want the death penalty, will he? And, all the evidence mounts up against him, there's already a lot, and we don't even know everything. If his bloody the gun that's found in his house is linked to the cartridges on the floor in the Tepe's home, that's, and there he is in the vicinity. I mean, the thing is, doesn't just because he was walking past the house at 3:00 in the morning doesn't mean that he killed them, of course. But come on, if you were on a jury, you'd be thinking, well, what was he doing there when he lives in Chicago 6 hours away? It might be circumstantial evidence because it's rare that we've said this before in a murder. It's rare that there's an actual footage of the person who commits the murder and you can see the face and you can see it's them. Most murders are sort of circumstantial evidence combined with DNA, the gunshot residue, the cartridges, etc. And as we said before, it's not only what DNA he might have left at the Tepe's home that will prove that he was in there. It's what DNA did he take with him, and maybe they've found in his apartment DNA from the scene that he could only have in his apartment all those miles away in Chicago if he had been at the scene. So, we don't know. Okay, what we're going to look at in a minute is one of my chatters very kindly sent me a video of a friend talking about Monique, and we're going to have a look at that. I've just got a reply to this message. Won't be a sec. I get people wait until I'm on a live before they message me. Always. So, yeah. Nobody messaged me. I think nobody loves me. Oh, I know. I'll do a live and then the world and his dog will want to message me. Sorry. So yeah, we're going to have a look at this video of that. As I said, it was sent me by a chatter. Thank you very much. And it's interesting. I haven't watched all of it. I haven't had time to watch all of it, so some of it I'll be watching new with you as well. Where is it? Just got to share it. Oh. It was this one. I just want to find the bit. I just had it ready before, and now, of course. What is that? That when I get things ready. Right, okay, let me share it. Okay, so this is a friend of Monique's.
So tell me about Monique and what was she like?
Beautiful. She was so wonderful. We just saw them on Christmas, and the last thing she said to me 3 weeks ago, and we were at Spencer and Maddie's parents, and she was like, "Gina, don't go. Spend the night. We need to talk all night. Let's hang out all night. Let's have a drinks. Let's just talk and be together." And she was just so sweet, and she was like that to everybody. And she's just, there wasn't enough words in the world to describe how beautiful and kind she was.
Oh.
When I see their wedding video, I just see how beautiful they are together. And I think you can see the love that they share. What were they like in person as someone who never got the chance to meet them?
I never saw them fight, never saw them argue. We lived in Columbus for a while, so we would hang out with them quite a bit. And never, he would lay down the word, like he would do anything for her. If she didn't feel good, he would, take care of it. If she wanted to leave, he would go. They were just phenomenal. And like I hate like even saying this, but I think she felt so blessed after what she had been through in her previous relationship. I think she just felt like she was the luckiest person in the world.
Did she talk to you about her marriage to Michael McKee?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, and there not recently. She never called it. I didn't even know his name. She never said Michael. She said my ex. She said he was bad. She said abusive. I don't think she ever said physically. I don't.
So that's interesting because the brother-in-law as well, Spencer's sister's husband, said the same thing. She never mentioned his name. She just called him her ex.
No, but I do know she would say quite a bit. Very verbally, mentally abusive. And I don't think I ever got the impression that she was afraid of him. I got the impression that she hated him and that she knew things were bad there. And I don't think it ever fully left her mind, which I don't like to say that. And he was, I don't think that sounds bad. I don't think anyone thought that this was going to happen. I also don't think that she thought he would leave her alone for the rest of her life.
So it's interesting because Rob said she was terrified of him. But this friend is saying, I don't think she was scared of him. but she didn't think he was going to leave her alone. So, yeah.
So I think a big question that a lot of people have is they divorced in 2017. It's been a long time. Had he been contacting her or following her in Columbus since then that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, and not that most people that I've talked to are aware of. But he was that like he's just that sneaky kind of sociopathic smart that I had heard a few rumors. I'm not sure I should like say exactly what, but things that he had said to people surrounding her. But I hadn't heard any like definite things of, you know, he was actually anything definite, I should say. Yeah.
Do you have any idea why now, after all of these years, that he's accused of doing this heinous act?
Sorry. I think it's just because everything you see the wedding video, everything that people see is who they really were. And they were so perfect and they were so wonderful. And I think he couldn't live with it. I think he could not fathom her happiness. And she was so happy. Her kids.
Because when we've watched that video and that, you always think, oh, nobody could be that happy, but it seems like maybe they were, and maybe that's what really got to him. I wonder if he had just happened on that wedding video. Maybe he didn't even know she was married. You know, why would he, if they'd had no contact? I suppose there's no reason why he would have found out she was married, except did that wedding video just come up? You know how things come up on YouTube, especially like if he like maybe been Googling her name after he had that court notification. If he did get court notification, did he just Google her name and then it came up, the wedding? And but what name would he Google? Because of course she was she had a maiden name, then she was McKee briefly, and then finally she was Tepe. So we don't know. I mean, did he already know she was married, or is this maybe he'd only just found out she was married and only just found out she had 2 kids, and maybe that's what sparked it?
We're just playing with my kids and everything was perfect and wonderful. And you don't like to say perfect because nobody's perfect, but like to the naked eye, they were.
Huh. Yeah.
When you first heard what had happened, what did you think?
So my brother Rob had called my mom screaming, like inconsolably screaming. And then my mom called me right away, inconsolably screaming. And then I called Rob inconsolably. So all 3 of us are just screaming. And the first thing my mom said to me was, Spencer and Monique are dead. And I said, no, they're not dead. We saw them 4 days ago. They're not dead. We just saw them. How could they be dead? And she was like, no, Gina, they're dead. So my first thought was like, oh my God, they got in a car crash. And then my mom, it was before like anybody, it was before, you know, anyone was even there. So then my mom was like, I don't know, your brother doesn't know, but it looks like murder. And you just, I think the initial shock, I didn't think anything. And then I kind of sat with it for like 15, 20 minutes. And in my head, I'm like replaying every conversation. And within 15 minutes, I was like, oh my God, the ex.
So were you surprised when Columbus police arrested him?
I got no. I was like, thank God. We kind of knew it was coming sooner rather than later. And the police had been very tight-lipped, I will say. They'd been very tight-lipped, even with the family. We didn't know much. So we only knew about an hour or 2 before it actually happened that it was going to happen.
Now, if we put ourselves in this family's position and you imagine that just suddenly you hear that someone's saying, oh, you know, one of your extended family, oh, they're dead. And like she said, they'd be, well, they can't be dead. We saw them 4 days ago. It's funny that, isn't it? You do. I think that's a very common reaction when you hear that somebody's dead. It's like, oh, well, I only saw them yesterday. Or I just spoke to them on the phone 2 weeks ago, as if that means they can't be dead. But that's the sort of thing we say, isn't it? You know, we automatically think back the last time we saw them, the last time we heard from them, or oh, I was just thinking about them the other day, or you know, that is a completely such a human reaction, isn't it? So first of all, it's just like, well, they can't be, you know, especially at their age. And this is not somebody who's been ill for ages, or even is just older, or you know, these are a couple in their prime of their life. You're just not going to think for a minute that they could be dead. It's just impossible, isn't it? That'd be your first reaction. Totally shocked. They can't be. Then you have to accept that they are, because obviously someone's not going to tell you. Another thing you sort of say is, isn't it? I was thinking about the daft things that we say, but they're common and they're human. You're joking, you know, which obviously you're not joking when somebody tells you that someone's dead. But, you know, these are, because we just can't believe it. Then you start, you know, you think, God, they are dead then, because when you realize this person is still saying, yeah, they are dead, they're definitely dead, then you start thinking, well, how could it have happened? And as she said, you know, I think of people with that age, you would think a car accident, definitely, wouldn't you? That would be the first thing you would think, some sort of accident of some kind, of most common of which probably would be a car accident. Then you'd be thinking, what about the children, wouldn't you? What about, you know, you can imagine all those thoughts going through people's heads. But then it's interesting, because then she said, when I thought about that for a while, then I thought, oh, it's the ex, you know, so it was lurking in the back of her mind that this ex had been discussed in a negative way, hadn't it? So.
And when Rob called me, he was just ecstatic. He's like, you know, it's happening soon. And we were actually driving down to Columbus for the services when I got that call, and it was just like an overwhelming wave of emotion that they got him and they got the right guy.
How were the services? I can't imagine how difficult it'd be to lay to rest two of your good friends.
We had a reception the first night at Tartan Fields, which was beautiful, and it was small, which was nice. There was only maybe 100 people, and it was you know, we were able to laugh and share funny stories, because we all have funny stories. But the funeral itself was like I think I'll live my whole life and never, ever, ever get over. Each other. Knowing who's in there. And then the kind of you don't think you're just both there. And they're both family was on.
How were their kids doing? I think a lot of people, their biggest concern when they heard what had happened is thankful that the kids weren't hurt, but deeply concerned that this happened when they were in the house.
As far as I know, okay, emotionally okay. They're very young, and we are thankful they're very young. She's funny. She's like she's her mom. She's like firecracker. She's kind of bossy, but she's sweet. And they are going to be in the care of an amazing family who will love them like their own forever and ever, ever. So as horrible as it is for them, they are fortunate that they are going to be with some amazing people that will love them forever.
Oh.
If a lot has come out about Spencer and Monique and, you know, what they did for a living and that they were loving people, but is there something that you think people should know that you haven't heard a lot of people talk about them?
I would say just how funny they were. They were so like, and Spencer just said the funniest things. Like there's just so many stories. Like, I don't know where to begin, but just, I mean, he was funny, but the things that he did and said and how kind he was. I remember it was like a holiday weekend. Excuse me. It was like Saturday of a holiday weekend. And I had like a problem with one of my teeth. And of course, all the dentists are closed. And so I just texted him. I'm like, hey, Spence, sorry to bother you. Within probably 30 seconds, he walks out of a bar and FaceTimes me immediately. And he was like, hey, sis, let's talk about those teeth. And he walked me through every single thing. Like, he was called Sis. Sis, Maddie, my sister-in-law, was always Sis. But then there were a lot of us that were Sis to him. But he was out, with friends having a good time in Shore North, and he was able to like put on his dentist cap.
Yeah, it seems like the children are going to be looked after, and that's good. And because they're young, hopefully they won't be scarred forever from this. But it's funny, isn't it? I'm thinking about, as she's talking about, you can't ever take people's memories away. So maybe, what he's done is terrible, and he's taken this lovely couple away. They genuinely do sound like a lovely couple, don't they? But that monster will never take away the memories that people have of this couple.
Yep. And just kind of, tell me what was going on with my teeth, and he was right. And that was like one of my favorite Spencer stories. But no, he was just so good. And they were nervous when they were pregnant with the first one, so they would come over and practice with my kids sometimes, and it was just so cute. And they had no reason to be nervous. They were amazing.
How thankful are you that you got that last night with them?
Yeah.
There's no words. There's no words. I just wish we could stay longer with them. A Monique story that's funny. She was a really good baker, and she had baked this pot of this big pan of tiramisu. And my husband's Italian, and Monique and I are like shoveling it in our faces, like bowl after bowl. We're just like crushing it. And I was like, Monique, I'm gonna take a
tiramisu. Oh my God, that's what I made at Christmas, wasn't it? That is my signature dish. Gosh, what coincidence.
bowl of tiramisu to Dominic, and she was like, oh, Gina, no, don't do that. I said, why? She goes, a real Italian have this. He'll think it's terrible. He'll think I'm a terrible baker. Like, Monique, stop it. Like, she was just funny. And I took to him and he was like, this is delicious. Like, I wish my wife would bake me an Italian dessert. But that's just, she was funny too. And she was funny in a different way than Spencer. Spencer was funny in like the class clown, the like silly guy. And she was funny in just the like kind of always on it, like always, hey, don't give it to him. He's Italian. But that was a wonderful, wonderful evening.
I had read somewhere that as much as she loved being a mom, she didn't love being pregnant. Is that true?
It wasn't yeah. It's okay. She was not. She wasn't closed off about that. But yes, and they were done. That was the end. They were not going to do more babies. They had their 2 babies, and they had their 3rd baby, Larry, who is in the very good care of Rob and Maddie.
Oh, so the dog's got a home as well. But it's funny to say that she didn't like being pregnant. I loved being pregnant because people are so nice to you, aren't they? What I find is when you're pregnant, people open doors for you, they tiptoe around you. They're just really nice to you in general. And then as soon as you have the baby and you're trying to cope with the pushchair, people just let the door slam on your child's pushchair, or they go, oh God, shut that kid up that's crying, or whatever. It's like. But Monique didn't like. Well, she's very slim. Monique, she probably didn't like carrying the extra weight and that. I mean, it is. You do end up feeling like a zeppelin, don't you, at the end of it? But I personally quite enjoyed being pregnant because I just like the way everybody spoiled me. And you had an excuse not to do anything you didn't want to do. It's like, oh, I'm not feeling that well today. But just, oh, okay. Like nobody tried to make you do anything.
And Larry is
Their golden doodle.
Oh yeah, big black golden doodle. And he was at the funeral, and he was the emotional support dog, which was very cool.
That's very sweet. Will you be following along with the court process?
As much as I can. I've been on the social media groups a little bit. I've had to take a lot of breaks. I'm sure everyone's aware, like there was a long time where people were kind of suspecting Rob, which was so ridiculous. And then they were suspecting one of our other friends. And then they were suspecting the dentist. And so the reason I say it's hard to follow along is because there are still people out there that are like, I don't think this was the guy. I don't think it was him.
Listen, a lot of people did suspect Rob, but I think what the thing with Rob was, he was like the spokesperson, wasn't he? And people are always suspicious of people who come forward and talk, like Daniel Martel in the Jack and Lily thing, though seems more likely that he might know what's happened to Jack and Lily Sullivan. But, so people do, the thing is, people do look, and looking at that wedding video, I felt like it was like some sort of weird Agatha Christie thing, that anyone who was at that wedding might have done this, but we didn't know at the time. We knew that Monique had an ex-husband, but we did not know about this sort of, what sort of person he was, because there wasn't much said about him, was there, in the beginning? And, when you look back now, you can see that Rob actually wanted to say about Michael McKee, but he couldn't because there's an investigation going on. But you know what, the thing is, these Facebook groups and stuff, you're never going to stop them. You can get positive things out of them, but some of it will always be negative against the wrong people. But I think there's a combination of the type of person. Some people that go in these groups, they really want. People did care about Monique and Spencer. It did seem like a terrible crime. You do get some people who treat it like some sort of, I don't know, how can I put it? Like it's not real. I mean, these are real people. That's what we always have to remember when we're talking about true crime. You always have to be careful of your comments, no matter what you think inside. I've learned that over the years, and I was the world's worst in the beginning. You say things, you don't think of them, that people are reading these and getting hurt by these comments. And that's what you've always got to keep in mind until you know something definite. As much as you might suspect somebody, and you may have good reason to, and you may turn out to be right, really, until it's confirmed, like until Michael was arrested, wasn't certain, was it? So it's very difficult.
When all of us who knew them, every single one of us knew that this was the guy, and I wish I could tell that to every single person that is saying no. It's yes.
He's definitely.
If you knew Monique, you knew this was what happened to her. So I will follow along as best I can. I don't really want to know. I don't want to know the bad details.
No.
I don't want to know. Because I don't want to remember how they went. I want to remember who they are now, or who they were to me, and who they were to all of us. Not how they left.
I know for a fact, if it was me, I would be reading all those Facebook things. I would be, because it's like going, it's like you sort of don't want to know the details, but you can't help it. I think you would be a bit like that, don't you think? It's certainly in the beginning. Maybe as time went on, you'd get stronger and be able to just switch off completely. But I think I would be reading, because you do want to know. You sort of don't want to know what happened, but you do want to know at the same time. I just can't imagine how it is for these families.
I do, but I will say I do hope this person, I don't even like to say this, I hope he doesn't see the light of day again.
Anything else you want to share with us about Monique, what she was like as a friend?
She was just kind, and she was always asking about you. Like, she was asking about your life, what's going on with you, how are you doing. She was one of those people that genuinely, like, when I'm with my friends, I'm kind of all over the place. She was one of those people that could, like, just make eye contact with you and make you feel like you were her, her friend, her close friend, no matter who it was. And she was also like, and I'm like this too, but she, in a good way, she was a hugger and a toucher. And when you were talking with her, you were close, and she would touch, touch your shoulder. But what happened to her, and it's just, she was way too good, or everyone in the world is too good for that. But I will say, I think that her reward for the hell that she lived for years was Spencer. And she knew that. She knew every day that was the reward.
Are you kind of surprised at the national attention?
You might be able to hear the music outside. Something's going on outside. Feels like a party.
That has been given to your friends' deaths?
Yes. I would say mostly because, like I said, like, we knew before the media was even there. We probably knew an hour before the media was there, and so I was, like, refreshing the apps, seeing what was going on, if it had been caught up yet. And when it started to happen, it was obviously, like, everyone was playing it out like you would think, like, oh, this could be a murder suicide,
Yeah.
And then, like, 2 bodies. And so I think we absolutely expected that first night, the local, of course. When the national media picked it up, I personally, and I think a lot of people, were shocked beyond belief how quickly it became a big story. And then even more so, like, you can't even get on Facebook without seeing their faces, which is good. I mean, it's hard. I don't love that, but it's good that most people have been very kind and have said kind things.
Most people will be kind.
But yeah, it's crazy how much it blew up and how fast.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard all that music. What is it? Oh, Vicky's doing a live. Oh, I know. Let's have a party outside with really loud music, etc. You know what it's like. There's always something. Someone's having a good time out there. Anyway, that's it. That's just what I wanted to bring you, these updates. Especially interesting, isn't it, about the court mistake, the clerical error. Did a clerical error lead to this? Obviously, you can't blame the clerk. Is that what put it all back into Michael's mind? After all this time, is that what made him think about it again after all this time? Gosh, or like, sometimes things are like a perfect storm, aren't they? Like a combination of things. Maybe he got that notification from the court, then he saw the wedding video, or then maybe Spencer or Monique contacted him and said, oh, what's all this about this court case? These are the things that we yet to find out. But that's one burning question, isn't it? Why now? And another burning question, of course, is how did he get into that house? And the thing is, that last 911 call, the friend was in the house as well. So how did they get in? Did they get in the same way? Something must have been open, a window, a door, something somewhere was open, because not only this murderer got in there to take these 2 beautiful souls, but also the friend got in there to give the information to the police. So they must have had a look round and found some point of entry, unless they had the keypad number. So yes, still very mysterious. The good thing is this man is off the streets. He has been caught. He's the alleged killer. We have to remember that. Innocent till proven guilty. But it seems to me with the shotgun casings being linked to a weapon that was found in his house, in his home, I can't see how he can get out. You know, that's not just a car going around. You know, you could always say, oh, well, I was in that area because of. No, you were in that apartment because the shell casings from your gun were in that apartment. So that's a real, you know, you can't get away from that. Not only places him in the area, but places him in the actual apartment where these beautiful people were killed. So anyway, I'd like to say a little prayer for Monique and Spencer, for all the family and especially the children. But it sounds like they are being looked after. They've got somewhere, you know, a family that will love them. And the dog has found a family that will love it as well. So these are the positives. And Monique and Spencer, I hope they're together wherever they are. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are together. I'm going to put, whereas this guy, he's going to burn in hell, isn't he? I can't wait to put him in the hellhole. You know, when he's found guilty, I just cannot wait. This is a bad man. Because you know what? I think whatever the circumstances building up to it, he's going to hell because he's just out of spite. He's done it. You know, he's murdered these two lovely people in cold blood out of pure spite. And if I can't have you, no one's going to have you. That sort of thing. Not even your own children are going to have you in their lives. You know, nasty, rotten, psychopathic, sociopathic twonk. And on that note, I'm going. So take care. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you again to all of you for watching, for liking, subscribing, and for those of you who've donated a Ko-fi towards my computer fund, a special thank you as well. And my members, of course. Thank you. Bye. May your God go with you.